What's up, everyone? Welcome to Commence 2030. So many of us have been hard at work over these past couple of months. The world has certainly changed, and it's been an honor to go through that change with you all. So we're excited to have you all with us. You could be so many different places, but you're here with us in community for the next couple of hours. It will be worth it, we promise.
Allow us to introduce ourselves. We are the Civics Unplugged team, and we are a bunch of dreamers, innovators, and builders representing decades of experience across politics, law, education, social impact, tech, venture, media, and digital-first community building.
We came together at the start of 2019 to create something we believed was urgently needed to save American democracy, Civics Unplugged.
What is Civics Unplugged? CU is a nonpartisan 501c3 social enterprise and digitally powered community that provides leaders of Generation Z training, funds, and support to build the future of American communities and democracy.
In January 2020, CU launched the CU Fellowship, which is a 6-month digital-first leadership program. 200 exceptional high school age leaders representing a cross-section of American backgrounds, regions, and cultures come together to learn systems thinking, personal development, democratic theory, and community building.
The fellowship culminates with the CU Fellows launching the Civics 2030 campaign, which is CU's national initiative to mobilize tons of money and support for leaders of Gen Z to spearhead projects that strengthen American democracy over the course of this pivotal decade.
Civics 2030 launches through Civics 2030 Launch Week, which kicks off right now with Commence 2030, a celebration of the young civic superheroes who are already doing so much to commence a brighter future for our communities and democracy. Everything you're about to watch tonight was written, designed, and produced by our founding CU Fellows.
Now that we have established a little context, we are so excited to introduce our creative, charming, and dynamic host, Zoë Jenkins.
Zoë is a rising senior from Kentucky and a CU Fellow. She's the founder of DICE, a diversity and inclusion training for youth, and a member of the Pritchard Committee Student Voice Team, where she produces their podcast. Her advocacy around education equity, racial justice, and creating a more vibrant and inclusive democracy makes her the perfect Gen Z civic superhero to be hosting tonight. So take it away, Zoë.
Wow, thank you for such a great introduction, CU crew. As they said, I'm Zoë Jenkins and your host for tonight. We're all super excited to be celebrating civic superheroes, both old and new, on our program this evening. But before we commence the rest of the show, we should first acknowledge the pain and suffering that our communities and our democracy are feeling. Though our nation is currently plagued with divides and despair, we are excited to unite around the young people all around us who are not just hoping for, but stepping up and creating a brighter 2030. I cannot count how many times our society looks at our generation as just the future, but fails to see the people in our generation creating petitions, demanding actionable change, caring for their community members, and collaborating across their differences. Our generation is not just the future, but right now. If we want a brighter 2030 where Americans believe in their leaders, their neighbors, and their future, then we have to start empowering the leaders of today, which is what Civics 2030 is all about. While this seems lofty, we have a lot of incredible people here tonight to help us and speakers from all over the world, all of whom are paving the way for our honorees and all of you. We are all really in for quite a night. But before we learn more about our fellows and our honorees, I'd like to know a little bit more about who we have joining us tonight. So in the chat, which will either be down below or to my right, please tell us where you're joining us from. Extra points for people who are coming from my home state of Kentucky. I am already seeing a couple people from the UK. I see a couple people from Florida. Huge shout out to a lot of our fellows who are from Florida. It's just so incredible to see where everybody is joining us from. I'm so glad to have all of you with us, especially even from Pennsylvania too. So to talk a little bit more about our vision and the light that Civics 2030 is, I'm going to pass the floor to Jasmine for her spoken word.
We welcome you to Commence 2030, building youth leadership that diminishes uncertainty. This is new age strength, and my generation is striving to design a better nation, Uncertainty is blatant, and so is our patience. As time passes, Gen Z is erasing our expectations for someone to step to the plate. No time to wait and negotiate. While the world makes haste, it's a great opportunity for us to embrace unity and trust in our communities. The system is expired. We need to reach higher, illuminating prosperity. Gen Z is crafting harmony in democracy with a 10-year tempo and heavy base of powerful policy, fighting for our rights and voice, amplifying, shaking the nation more than noise. As time is constantly waving us by, we, the people, endlessly strive to make change. Power is what the youth must reclaim. Today, a day of celebration, celebrating the route of our destination to a better nation.
Wow, that was so incredibly powerful, Jasmine. If it wasn't made clear, this is a movement, and we really need to bump it from the loudest speakers. And we would not be able to amplify these young people like what we're doing tonight without our incredible partners. To shout some of them out and to thank them, here's Kristen.
Hi everyone, my name is Kristen and I'm 18 years old and from New York City. I want to take a moment to shout out our partners for doing so much for us and with us over this past year. From helping us recruit students, to helping us refine our curriculum, to helping us develop our long-term strategy, our many partners have been critical to our organization and to our community's development and the advancement of our mission. We're not going to be able to get to all of our partners, but just to name a few. Shout out to DoSomething.org for being one of our earliest supporters and being so open to collaborating on cool ideas with us. Shout out to Civics for being an amazing advocate for student voice and supporting the youth in the Civics Unplugged community. Shout out to National Geographic for taking serious interest in some of our fellows and directing so many amazing people toward the CU community. Shout out to Blue Star families for existing, period, but also for supporting everything that we've done. Shout out to Georgetown University, Facing History, Govern for America, Bridge Alliance, Bridge USA, Acumen, Skip NV, Future Coalition, Life, the Water Center for Systems Thinking, Schools That Can, COIAC, National Children's Campaign, World Affairs Council of Pittsburgh, EarthX, Planet 911, and St. Benedict's Prep. Also shout out to the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History for being the biggest advocate of CU Fellows and our Declaration of the Future, and also the Civics 2030 Challenge, which we will be talking about very shortly. Again, we won't be able to get to all of the amazing people and organizations who have helped us along the way, but you know who you are, and we thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Kristen, and another huge thank you again to all of our partners. A big component of what we're doing tonight is celebrating Gen Z civic superheroes. I'm now going to pass it off to Miriam to explain that a little bit more and to highlight our first round of honorees.
Thanks, Zoe. Tonight is all about looking towards our vision for the future in 2030. Our future begins with us, civic superheroes that are doing incredible work in their communities in order to create the world we want to live in 2030. Today, we have many civic superheroes that we would like to honor from every region of the United States. Our honorees have been through a highly selective process in order to be honored here tonight, and many include our very own CU Fellows. Every one of tonight's honorees will get a ticket to join the Civics 2030 community, and some of them, who are working on projects directly in line with the Civics 2030 campaign, will also be awarded a one-time project acceleration stipend from Civics Unplugged to scale their projects. Your donations allow us to support these amazing civic superheroes, so we're incredibly grateful to those that have donated, and we encourage those that haven't yet to contribute. Every dollar counts, and to these civic superheroes, the impact of your donations is so powerful. Plus, you'll get cool limited edition CU swag. So without further ado, let's give it up for our first honoree, Stella D. Rose. During the era of COVID-19, Stella developed 2 projects, including 6 Feet Supplies, a student-led initiative that delivers groceries and supplies to at-risk individuals who are unable to buy them, and Sam's Chat, a space for teens to connect during quarantine with weekly video calls and break the stigma around mental health. Our next civic superhero that we're highlighting is Dyson Chi. Dyson developed Project Ocean to take on the issue of plastic pollution through education by going to schools and advocating at community events, and through activism by taking education to the next level and encouraging people to get involved and pass legislation. The next civic superhero that we're highlighting is Faith Ramos. As a fellow of Civics Unplugged, Faith wrote some of the Civics 2030 Declaration with the Declaration Drafting Committee, reviewed Commence 2030 honoree applications as part of the selection committee, and wrote invite emails for speakers like Garlin Gilchrist for Commence 2030 as part of the launch committee. The next civic superhero that we'd like to shine the spotlight on is Phoebe Chambers. Phoebe runs a Represent Us chapter and works on text bank campaigning for Represent Us, a national grassroots campaign to improve democracy. She has also run a successful multi-week campaign as a text bank captain in New York City for ranked choice voting. The next civic superhero that we're honoring is Benjamin Katonic. Benjamin is currently writing his own book, Simple Explanation of the U.S. Government, which, as the title implies, is a simple explanation of how our government works, aimed for elementary and middle school students. He plans on donating many copies of his book to low-income schools when it comes out. Up next, we're celebrating Journey Barlow. Journey helped out in a number of ways as a member of the Civics 2030 Launch Committee, including securing nominations for honorees and inviting speakers and organizations. She's also building a student law enforcement unity group for Chicago public schools and police stations they share a district or community with. Let's meet Elena Ashburn, our next civic superhero. Elena created Bloom, a website for military teens and kids that provides support, empowerment, and information through articles, videos, and art. Bloom is a safe online space where military teens all across the world can feel heard and find a community. The next civic superhero that we're featuring is Benjamin J. M. Loafer. Benjamin is building a project to democratize market research for purpose-driven organizations and give Gen Z a voice in their future. Let's now meet Tati Santos Lopez. Tati served on the Civics 2030 Launch Committee and its selection subcommittee, including writing many letters to speakers and organizations and interviewing honorees. Tati has worked hard to make sure that Commence runs smoothly and that Civics Unplugged has a successful launch week. The final honoree is Addison E. Lee. Addison created mixedlife.net, a platform for multiracial creators and content dedicated to exploring what it means to be mixed race through art, writing, and interviews. Their goal is to create more conversations about the mixed identity, a growth space for mixed folk, and a reservoir of content from mixed creators around the globe. These civic superheroes are incredible, and we're just getting started for the night. But first, I'll hand you off to Zoe. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Miriam. These are truly some incredible honorees, and congratulations on all of your hard work. If you're interested in donating to help us fund these projects, please go to commence.us/donate, or you can scan the flow code right here. We are now going to hear from our very first speaker of the night, who our fellow Elena will now introduce.
Thanks, Zoe. Our next speaker is someone I admire immensely. As a military kid, my life has been unconventional. I've spent a great deal of my childhood moving, watching my father deploy, and adapting to new experiences. That lifestyle is not always easy, but our next speaker has dedicated her life to empowering the spouses and families of the military. She's the CEO and board director of Blue Star Families, one of the largest organizations for military service members and their families. Her work has impacted over 1 million people, including my own family. Along with her work at Blue Star, she is an accomplished attorney and author. I am very proud and excited to introduce Ms. Kathy Roth-Douquet.
Thank you, Elena, for that very kind introduction. You are an incredible young woman, and I cannot wait to see what you do next. It is an honor to be with you this evening. I am so excited about the work of Civics Unplugged and the work that all of you have done together. We're living in unprecedented times. I know you know that. We believe, we older people, that we have to look to you to help move us forward. And I'm excited that you're taking on that mantle and you're doing that hard work to make a difference. It speaks to me because as a young person, I started in social movements. I got my start in my career with protest politics. I protested nuclear weapons in favor of women's reproductive health and against the apartheid regime of South Africa. I went on to presidential politics, and I eventually went to and worked in the White House. And there I met a member of the military. I fell in love and I got married. And when I joined that military community, I realized that many in the larger society did not know us and did not know the sacrifices we made. And we needed help. And we needed to reach out to that larger society to give ourselves and our families, the lives we deserved so that we could continue to serve the country. About 11 years ago, other members of military families and I got together to create a movement that we call Blue Star Families. That was to make a difference for the people who serve in the military and their families. And now, each year, over 1 million people in the military, along with their family members, take part in the programs and resources of Blue Star Families. We've changed laws and we've changed ways that people live. And because I've done it, I know that you can do it too. We need you today. These are crazy times. And the fact that you're embracing that change and embracing the work of Civics Unplugged, I think goes to the heart of what it is to be an American. Being an American starts with we, the people. It starts with the idea that the freedom of an individual requires the work and the collaboration of a people. And by you taking on this challenge and learning the lessons that Civics Unplugged help bring to you, by creating the relationships, learning the collaboration, finding those pathways forward, I know you are going to make the change that we need to see in the world. I am so excited and so grateful for your work. I am so excited and so grateful for Civics Unplugged and the way they elevate you. I cannot wait to see what you do in the future. Keep us in mind. Let us know what you need from all of us so we can elevate you and we can, all of us, have a better world. Here's to all of you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kathy Roth-Douquet. Your work with Blue Star Families, uniting passion and expertise to advocate for others, is exactly what we look for in our civic superheroes. I'm now going to pass the floor to Madison to introduce our next speaker, who is crossing party lines to better our world.
Joel Searby is a political consultant who has worked with campaigns and organizations from across the nation. In 2016, dissatisfied with the political climate of the time, he sought to find an independent candidate for the presidency. He was successful and ended up running Evan McMullen's historic bid for president. Today, he is an advocate for building a political system that produces leaders who can unite the country. Please help me in welcoming Joel Searby.
What is up, Civics Unplugged crew? My name is Joel Searby, and so pumped to be here with you guys today. Honored that you asked me to do this, and want to share just a few thoughts. I've been around civic life and politics for about 16 years, run all kinds of campaigns, worked in the Republican Party for a long time, left the party in 2016 to run a presidential campaign for Evan McMullen, the independent candidate, and I've taken about a year off of politics just to try to get deeper into my own community. Opened a little small retail store, which is where I'm sitting right now. And so I've got a lot of different experiences, and I thought about some cliches that I could share with you about how you're going to be leaders and how you're going to shape the future. But one of the things that I know is that you're already doing that. And because you're doing that and young people are shaping the way that our country is going forward right now, I just first of all want to encourage you and thank you to keep your voices going. There's been so many cool things happening from young people, from the Parkland advocates against gun violence to Greta Thunberg and the likes and climate change, and so many young activists. I'm really touched by a story I heard about from Springfield, Illinois, where some high school students led a prayer vigil for justice and peace. And so these ideologically diverse groups of young people doing amazing things in your communities, and I'm so encouraged by that. And here's the one thing I want to focus on in one area that I know you're rallying around, which is what are the great qualities of a leader? And here's what I would say. Who you are and how you treat others, especially those who don't agree with you, is immensely more important than what you do right now. We live in an era where online messages and the online world and the culture of the online space has such a strong current of being a cancel culture, of being divisive, of taking the algorithms of human behavior and turning us into tribes and extremists and dividing us in every way that it can. And while you can work hard to keep in touch with a diverse viewpoint online, and you should, and I do, I want to especially encourage you today to have real life friendships, acquaintances, relationships with in-person people, a group of friends and allies and acquaintances that are not like you at all. We have got to learn in this next generation and relearn that one of our most critical tasks is that we have to learn how to live together joyfully, peacefully, productively in a very pluralistic society. I think it's a task that your generation is immensely well prepared for, and you can do this. And I want to encourage you that we can chart new paths to live together even though we don't always agree on things. You know, I'm a white, Jesus-following male, and some of you probably don't like that. You don't agree with certain things, but I still love you. I still respect you. I want to hear your voice. I want to work with you, and I want to stand with you to stand up for your rights, to be treated equally and fairly, protected from hatred, to live in a flourishing country that we love. And so I don't think you have to hold the same views as me to be my friend, my ally, and especially even to work together for good. And I think that's one of the civic principles about how you lead that's going to be so important. So cultivate friendships in your community with people who hold different views from you. Work alongside them. Do things together. I think you'll find that as you serve together, you'll get stronger, and your relationships will be able to overcome some of the things that everyone wants to tell you should divide you. So as we build this nation together, we've got to figure out how to treat each other like it's not a battle and a war where the winners write all the laws and take all the spoils, but it's a lot more like a party is what I would leave you with. Like we're cooking for a party where everybody brings their spices and their dishes from your own culture in the beautiful ways that they are and the ways that you bring them. And we come together and we're trying to make a beautiful kind of potluck together, and we're trying to feast. It's not about throwing it all into a pot and putting a bunch of salt in and hoping it works out. We're talking about laying a banquet table that is amazing, and that's the kind of country we can build if we'll work together. And that's my encouragement to you guys. Be those kinds of leaders that do that. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Amazing commentary, Joel, especially on how everyone, regardless of political affiliation, background, and social location, needs to build bridges and not walls, especially in this moment. That is the light that guided our creation of Civics 2030 and this event to honor some of those phenomenal young people tonight. Speaking of which, let's go back to Miriam to reveal and recognize our next set of honorees.
Thanks, Zoe. Welcome back, everyone. I am honored to be back introducing a bunch more civic superheroes who we are proud to honor tonight for their amazing work to build the future of our democracy. The dedication of these civic superheroes to improving their communities inspires me to continue my own work, and I hope it inspires you to open your wallets. We've said it before and we'll say it again. The youth is the future. These teens from all across America are taking their futures and the future of our country into their own hands and are making amazing change. I have hope because of what they and so many other teen leaders are doing. I can't wait for you to meet them, so let's dive in. Our first civic superhero that we're awarding tonight is Lainey Taylor. Lainey is working to ensure that all 3- and 4-year-olds in Kentucky have access to high-quality early childhood education. Lainey believes that when we meaningfully invest in our youngest citizens, our families, communities, and Commonwealth become stronger. Up next is Dariel Cruz Rodriguez. Dariel has been instrumental to Commence 2030 through his hard work on the Civics Unplugged social media pages. He has produced many graphics for Commence 2030 and has helped to invite many guest speakers, including rapping in Yang's plan to invite Andrew Yang. Our next civic superhero that we're highlighting is Sahana Nelian. Sahana created Rhapsody for Youth, a nonprofit organization with the goal of increasing advocacy among youth and helping young students find their voice by tackling political issues and educating children in public speaking, leadership, and critical thinking in order to make them stronger adults. The next civic superhero that we'd like to shine the spotlight on is Emily Mary Cho. Emily created the Chicago Asian American Youth Coalition with the vision of fostering communication, empathy, and solidarity among Asian American youth in the greater Chicagoland area. Pre-COVID-19, the organization met regularly to plan a symposium, engage in civic and political discourse, and continue to redefine what it means to be an Asian American. It's currently adjusting to an online platform and looking to expand to a state and even national scale. Let's meet Jasmine Lewis. Jasmine has orchestrated numerous invitations and songs for potential Commence 2030 speakers and has worked on outreach to organizations, always providing vivid ideas to discussions. Let's meet Peyton K. May, our next civic superhero. As Miss America's outstanding teen, Peyton has used her voice to promote civic engagement among youth and young adults. She's also partnered with Kids Voting USA to develop a civics curriculum for K through 3rd graders and hosted numerous voter registration drives. Up next, we're celebrating Tarina K. Ahuja. Tarina co-founded the Greater Good Initiative, a youth-led policy think tank with the mission of promoting youth engagement and mobilization in the policy-making process. Their goal is to autonomously create effective, sustainable, and nonpartisan policy proposals and advocate them to legislators at the local, state, and federal levels. The next civic superhero we're featuring is Jude Abija. Jude not only helped with a ton of speaker invites, he also co-created the Civics 2030 Challenge, which called on Gen Zers to identify something they wanted fixed by 2030, describe what they're going to do, and challenge 3 people to do the same. The last 2 civic superheroes that we're featuring in this segment are 2 of our Fellows' Choice honorees, Julia C. Turpak and Zachary Patterson. You'll hear more about them and the amazing work they're doing in interviews shortly. Stay tuned for our final round of honorees of the night. But for now, back to you, Zoe.
Wow, thank you so much, and congratulations to our honorees. Special shout out for Kentuckian Lainey Taylor and her work in early education. It's amazing to see how our civic superheroes are empowering others even as young as kindergarten. Next up, we have a speaker who happens to share my love for education justice. Take it away, Tanasi.
Thanks, Zoe. Our next speaker is Andrew Brennen, a National Geographic Explorer and Fellow and huge friend to the Civics Unplugged community. Take it away, Andrew.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrew, and I'm an Education Fellow and Explorer at National Geographic, where I work to support youth-led movements and organizations all around the world. I'm also the co-founder of the Pritchard Committee Student Voice Team, where I fight for education equity in my home state of Kentucky. Some adults might tell you that you're too young to make a difference. I need you never to believe them. From the Little Rock Nine to the apartheid divestment campaigns, from the Velvet Revolution to the anti-war campaigns of the 60s, throughout the world and throughout history, society has turned to young people to lead us through challenging and uncertain times. And today is no different. In this very moment, young people around the world are leading marches in the streets, insisting on the humanity of Black lives and on the eradication of white supremacy. I stand with those young people, and I stand with you. Through my work in education justice, I have seen firsthand how young people can identify problems, challenge norms, and change policy. National Geographic recognizes this too, and is working to support young scientists, explorers, educators, and storytellers who are on the front lines of illuminating and protecting the wonder of our world. I want to share just a quick story about the Society. There's a picture that hangs in our DC headquarters of the co-founders of National Geographic. There are 33 gray-haired, wise-looking gentlemen standing around a table in typical 19th century attire. But that image is more than a little misleading. What many people don't know is that of those 33 men, 6 of them were under the age of 30 when they helped guide National Geographic's founding. That is to say, the curiosity and ingenuity that young people bring to the table has always been a crucial component of the adventure and exploration core to National Geographic. An explorer must embrace what comes naturally to young people, the belief that you've never achieved it all, and that there is always room to grow your passion and explore new parts unknown. Our world is facing unprecedented challenges. A climate emergency that is already ravaging communities, a refugee crisis that seems to escape notice of society, a global pandemic that has killed hundreds of thousands of people around the world, and systemic racism that pervades every aspect of society. And while all of these challenges take different forms, all of them require the passion, creativity, and urgency that young people bring to the table if they are ever going to be solved. So I'm here to say thank you. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for your dedication to your communities and for your infectious optimism. Young people are not just the future. We are making a difference right now.
Thank you so much, Andrew. I couldn't have said it better myself. You are never too young to make a difference. Fun fact about Andrew, he's from Kentucky, as you could see in that poster in the background, and he actually graduated from the same high school I go to now. What a small world. Thank you always, Andrew. I'm now going to pass it off to Paul Vasha to introduce our next awesome speaker.
Thanks, Zoe. Our next speaker is Katie Fahey, one of the founders of The People, an organization fighting for democracy reform to ensure that our government reflects the interests of its citizens. She also successfully led the fight against gerrymandering in Michigan and is truly an inspirational civic superhero to us all. Take it away, Katie.
Hello! I'm so excited to be joining today for Commence 2030. It has been amazing to watch, and I'm so honored to be here. I am Katie Fahey. I made a Facebook post in 2016 on social media that said, hey, I want to end gerrymandering in Michigan. If you want to help, let me know, smiley face, which little to my knowledge or anticipation ended up leading to a movement of thousands of people working to end partisan gerrymandering in our state and amend our constitution. Since then, I've started an organization called The People, which tries to help people across the entire country take their frustration and turn it into action, working together to fix our systemic problems. It has been amazing to see what Civics Unplugged has been able to do in this inaugural year, and so amazing to meet so many of you and get to hear about your passion and how you are thinking so critically and taking action to actually create the world that we want to live in. I can't wait to see what the future has in store for all of you, and I just hope that today you are taking some time to acknowledge that it really is special that you're actually taking the time to work so hard to do something about these really big problems that face us and our country. One thing that I've learned over the years is that nobody is going to hand us the future that we want. We have to actually create the country that we want to live and experience. There are so many moments where you realize how much injustice is there and you just are like, why isn't something happening about this? But the thing that all of you have already figured out is that you can be that person doing something about it, and that there are actually a lot of other people across this country who also care and who want to do something about it. It just takes all of us finding each other and figuring out how to work together. I think that as I've gone on my own, I guess, civic superhero journey, accidentally going from Facebook poster to leading a movement, I think a lot about how the only reason we were even able to do that is because actually like 100 years earlier, people had fought so hard to change our constitution to make it so that citizens could pick up these changes. So much of what progress has been able to be made has only been made because of generations before us who have fought really hard and not given up on this being a country where we create our future together. And that's the legacy that all of us get to continue. We get to continue to figure out how do we not only make change, but also invite other people into the change-making process. How do we make it so that in 5 or 10 years, you guys are helping new folks who are just beginning to think about voting and their civic duty, and help them realize that they have a place in creating and shaping a better future. So, like I said, I hope you enjoyed the day. It's so exciting to see, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Thank you so much, Katie. As you said, it's the generations of civic superheroes who have come before us that have paved the way for us to effect such meaningful change. And mobilizing young people to bring more people into the fold is exactly what Civics 2030 is all about. Thank you so much again. Tonight, along with simply recognizing our honorees, we are also going to be interviewing Fellow Choice honorees, chosen, as the title suggests, by our own fellow selection committee. We are now going to turn to Tatiana, a selection committee member, for our first honoree spotlight interview.
Thanks, Zoe. All right, I'm so excited to introduce our first Fellow Choice honoree, Julia Turpak. Julia is 22 years old, hails from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and is a college graduate from Duquesne University. She is working on an amazing project called Gen Z Talk, which is a platform to discuss Gen Z opportunity, strengths and weaknesses, and how we can create change. The reason I'm personally excited about this project is because of how it creates a community for our youth, informs Gen Z on important issues in our lives, and connects with Gen Zers on the platform we enjoy. With that introduction out of the way, I'm so excited to ask Julia a few questions. First, why did you decide to start working on this project?
So about 2 years ago, I noticed that older generations were always referring to millennials, but I never felt like I fit into that mold. And after looking deeper into things, I learned that I'm in fact not a millennial and instead part of Gen Z. I became very curious about what makes our generation different, good and bad, and invested a ton of time researching. It truly became a passion of mine, and I decided to start creating content to establish a platform that focused on conversations about Gen Z.
All right. As a part of being on tonight, you've been awarded a $1,000 project acceleration stipend. What will you be doing with that money?
So my platform Gen Z Talk is pretty well established on TikTok, but I'm using the stipend to take my platform to the next level with my podcast. I will be getting equipment, working on marketing initiatives, as well as securing well-established and hidden gem Gen Z guests.
Why are you excited to join the Civics Unplugged community?
My content and Civics Unplugged's mission are truly a perfect match. I'm so excited for all of the connections that I'll be making because the people involved in Civics Unplugged are the exact type of people that I'm curious about and know that fellow Gen Zers can learn from and look up to.
Amazing. Okay, it's time for a lightning round of questions. What are 3 words you would use to describe yourself?
I would say curious, unapologetic, and driven.
What's your favorite Netflix show?
Stranger Things.
Who is one civic superhero you look up to?
Andrew Yang.
What's your hope for American democracy?
With American culture evolving and technology advancing quicker than ever, my hope for the American democracy is that we prioritize becoming proactive rather than reactive for the sake of our generation's future.
All right, Julia, thank you so much for your time and congratulations again on your acceptance into the CU community and your Fellow's Choice Spotlight.
Thank you for having me.
Wow, thank you so much, Tati, and congratulations, Julia. I'm so excited to see how your podcast grows and elevates this generation. We are now going to hear from our next speaker of the night, who happens to be joining us from the other side of the globe, and we are so honored to have her with us. Passing it to you, Jonah.
Next, we have a truly special guest, all the way from the country of Taiwan, who has been an invaluable supporter of civic ideals across the globe. Audrey Tang serves as Digital Minister of Taiwan and the first transgender member of the Taiwanese Executive Cabinet. Her work defines a civic superhero by stemming the flow of COVID-19 and ensuring her constituents' voices are heard in her expert application of technology and democracy. She advises leaders all around the world, advancing the concepts of democracy, and it is truly a pleasure having a literal genius like her join us for this event. Let's give a big, warm welcome to Audrey Tang.
Hi, Jonah. Thank you for the introduction, and thanks to Chalab for the kind invitation. It's great to be here with the Civics Unplugged community at Commence 2030, which I know commences a special and momentous week ahead. I'm excited for you, young civic superheroes, to ratify your declaration that envision a brighter future for democracy, and for you to sign the declaration with pledges to build the future. Your decision to pledge means something. It means that you have opted to take responsibility for your future, and you have opted to be an active participant in building a better world. And that gives me hope, because democracy improves as more people participate. Digital technology remains one of the best ways to improve participation, as long as the focus is on finding common ground and rough consensus, not division nor polarization. These are the lessons Taiwan has taken to heart in recent years, with the government and the technology community partnering to create online and offline platforms and digital initiatives that allow everyday citizens to propose and express their opinion on policy reforms. Today, Taiwan is crowdsourcing democracy to create a more responsive environment. And fittingly, this movement, which today aims to increase government transparency and accountability, was born in a moment of national outrage over a lack of openness in politics, a sentiment that still resonates with many people in the world today. To give some background on the government reform movement in Taiwan, that was in 2014, March 18th, hundreds of young activists, most of them students, occupied Taiwan's legislature to express their profound opposition to a new trade pact with Beijing, then under consideration, as well as the secretive manner in which it was being pushed through the parliament by then the ruling party. Catalyzing what came to be known as the Sunflower Movement, the protesters demanded that the pact be scrapped and that the government institute a much more transparent ratification process. There's a lot to be said about how the movement ultimately succeeded, but it's worth pointing out one core ingredient. It's a deep commitment by the leaders of our social, economic, and public sectors so that we can work together to build the future of our democracy. 6 years later, with civic technology's help, Taiwan handled the pandemic with no lockdowns and countered the infodemic with no takedowns. If you're interested in that, simply search for fast, fair, fun, and to see how Taiwan can help. As our president, Dr. Tsai Ing-wen, once said to our annual presidential hackathon, she said, "Do it bravely and dare to make mistakes." As we embark on building a brighter future for democracy, I encourage you to keep this spirit as you work to meet the public's needs. And finally, as a fellow developer of digital democracy, here's my call of action to you. When we see the Internet of Things, let's make it an Internet of Beings. When we see virtual reality, let's make it a shared reality. When we see machine learning, let's make it collaborative learning. When we see user experience, let's make it about human experience. And whenever we hear the singularity is near, let us always remember the plurality is here.
Absolutely incredible, Audrey Tang. The Sunflower Movement is a reminder that it's the youth who have the power and drive to make their voices heard. But we must demand the dedication, ambition, and transparency of our leaders to truly make that progress. In these efforts, and I couldn't have said it better myself, do it bravely and dare to make mistakes. I am now going to pass the floor back to Elena to introduce our next speaker, who is building bridges between global issues and politics.
Thank you, Zoe. This next speaker is a great example of a civic superhero. After noticing gaps in both the environmental community concerning conservative inclusion and the conservative community concerning climate activism, he and his co-founder created the American Conservation Coalition. The ACC is dedicated to activating the conservative community to fight against the climate crisis. He has also testified to the House of Representatives alongside other climate activists such as Greta Thunberg. He has spoken at the Conservative Political Action Conference, and he is on the 2020 Forbes 30 Under 30 list. I am thrilled to introduce this next speaker, Mr. Benjamin Backer.
Hey guys, Benji Backer here, president and founder of the American Conservation Coalition, the largest conservative environmental nonprofit in the country. And I want to thank Elena for inviting me to participate in this incredible and an inspirational event. And I want to start out by basically saying that this is an amazing time for us to reflect on. And it's so hard to get caught up in everything going on. And we're all doing such incredible activism at this stage in our lives. But the immense power that we have shown over the past few months and the past few years is worth celebrating. And it really speaks to the power of our generation and that we don't see issues in terms of Republican and Democrat. We're single-handedly putting important issues on the horizon because of that fact and making meaningful changes on gun issues, LGBT, climate change, income inequality, and equality in general. And our top political leaders in the country and across the globe are becoming younger and younger because of our power. So I don't want to ever tell people what to think, but there's three simple things I think our generation needs to remember as we look towards the future. The first is being positive. People respond well to positivity, and there's a lot to be excited about. The second is being open to changing your minds and changing other people's minds and welcoming people with open arms as well as their ideas. And the third is remember your why. Always remember why you are active in the work that you are doing. It's hard not to get caught up in it, and people are always thanking you for what you're doing, but remember why you're doing what you're doing. because this is a make or break time in our history, and we need your activism to solve some of the biggest challenges humanity has ever faced. And inaction will hurt even more than anything else that's possible. So our generation is facing a really tough year, but we're on the right side of history. What we're doing is monumental, and you need to reflect on that, because the future will be defined by our values, and that is something to be celebrated and to be excited about. Civics Unplugged, thank you for what you're doing. You will also be at the forefront of these changes. The activists who are watching this will be at the forefront of these changes, and I am so proud of our generation, Gen Z, for being such difference makers in our communities, because we're making a bigger difference than we know, and we're going to be looking back on this moment in history with a lot of pride and a lot of happiness of the movements that we've created. Thanks so much.
Wow, absolutely incredible, Benji. As he said, inaction hurts more than anything, which is why we are wanting to empower this generation to bridge divides and create impactful change, just as Benji is doing. Thank you so much again. This entire program, from our segments to speaker invites to Civics 2030 itself, could not have happened without our incredible fellows on our launch committee. To recognize some of our launch week team, here's Noor, one of our founding fellows.
Thanks, Zoe. Hi, everyone. My name is Noor, and I am one of the Civics Unplugged founding fellows. And on behalf of the entire CU community, I want to take a moment to recognize the Civics Unplugged founding fellows who quite literally made tonight possible. They came up with the idea of Commence 2030. They used their creativity and ingenuity to write and craft letters, poems, songs, even raps to invite all of the speakers here tonight. They selected all of the honorees, and they created all of the segments that you have seen so far. We appreciate all of the fellows that helped in making tonight possible. And I know I won't be able to call out everyone, but let me just say I am so proud and grateful to be a founding fellow among you all. From Darielle, whose social media skills just blow us away, to Tati, who stepped up big time with the selection committee, to Madison, whose skit writing and rapping skills were clearly evident to everyone, to Sam, who took part in so many of the videos as well, to Lillian, whose memes always put a smile on her face and were so on point. It's clear that you are all just so special. Shout out to Jonah, who is our invite and speaker king. I think he wrote at least 900 invites, right, Jonah? Thank you, we appreciate it. Shout out to the entire declaration drafting committee. It looks amazing, and I cannot wait to ratify it in just a few days with you all. Shout out to Aaron, who basically blew us away with his creativity on his invite videos. I'm pretty sure he made a movie's worth of content. To Jasmine, who blew us away with her writing ability and amazing voice on the fellow poems and songs we created. To Chabu, who ran outreach for the event. To Leora, who basically produced this entire thing. And to Zoe, who's our wonderfully amazing host, who has kept us motivated and inspired this entire year. And to everyone who wasn't mentioned, I speak on behalf of the other fellows in saying that we love you, and we are so proud of you, and we are so excited to work alongside you to build a brighter future for American democracy.
Thank you so much, Noor, and another huge thank you to all of our launch committee. Launch Week would also not be possible without the donations that we receive from our supporters. To help us advance our mission and to grow the Civics 2030 movement, please donate at commence.us/donate, or you can scan the flow code. It's incredible to me that we have already crossed the $4,700 mile marker, with major thanks to the Myers family, the Jenkins family, Alex Tepper, Camp Silverman, Alex Spadar, Pam Haas-Schwab, Laura Krawczyk, Melissa Ashley, Pamela Kendall, and a couple of other donors as well. I am now going to pass the floor to Jonah to introduce our next speaker.
Now I have the opportunity to introduce another surreal guest. Stephen Ballmer made a name for himself as the first business management employee at Microsoft and would later rise to CEO after Bill Gates retired. More recently, he's the owner of the LA Clippers. For those familiar with him, it may be hard to imagine this dynamic personality as anything else, but the personal transformation he underwent from such a shy childhood is an inspiration to us all. In addition to his tech leadership, Stephen Ballmer has dedicated a significant amount of his time and fortune to philanthropic efforts, such as USAFacts, an organization dedicated to helping us hold government to account by showing us the checkbooks. So I want you all to know that I mean this when I say it's an honor to introduce to you Stephen Ballmer.
Hello, Civics Unplugged. I'm Steve Ballmer from Microsoft, the LA Clippers, but I'm here today just to salute you as people who are interested in government and society and what's going on. I started a project myself called USAFacts. We bring together government data for purposes of better understanding by the citizens of who pays taxes, what does the money get spent on, and what kind of outcomes do we get. I know folks who are involved with this effort, you're all interested in really educating yourself and understanding your government. There's no more factual way to do that than by the numbers. You just look at the numbers. Numbers are not partisan. They'll give you the tools you need to analyze and decide what you think about where this country is and where it needs to go, and how you might help with your voting, with your advocacy, with your effort, and with your energy. I look forward to seeing all that you guys can do to drive society. And we have a few trivia questions for you about government brought to you here by USAFacts. Thank you all very, very much. Bye-bye.
Wow, thank you so much, Steve. And with that, let's get into our USAFacts trivia game. The rules are quite simple. I'm going to be reading 3 trivia questions featuring insightful factoids from USAFacts, along with 4 options for the answers. When you see each question, write down your answer, and then once we finish the 3rd question, you can submit all of your answers in either the Facebook or YouTube chat. On each platform, the first person to answer all of the questions correctly will receive a limited edition CU swag bag. So I'm going to give you guys 10 seconds to find the chat, and then we will proceed with a quick practice question. Okay, is everybody ready? Let's get on with the practice. Using my rate of engaging in daily journaling in 2018 as a baseline, what percent did my relative rate of daily journaling increase by 2019? So let's assume I journaled 50% of days in 2018 and 75% in 2019. Was it A, about the same, B, about a 10% increase, C, about a 25% increase, or D, about a 50% increase? Okay, you guys got your answers? You can go ahead and send these into the chat. The answer is D, about 50%. If you're wondering why it wasn't C, that's because we asked for relative percent increase, not absolute. So now that you understand the kinds of questions we are going to be asking, let's get into the game. And remember, wait to send all of your answers together until after the 3rd question, and you only get 1 submission. Pencils, keyboards, and minds ready? Let's begin. Question 1. Using the United States presidential voting rate in 1968 as a baseline, what percent did the United States presidential voting rate relatively increase or decrease by 2016? A, by about 17% decrease, B, about a 7% decrease, C, about a 7% increase, or D, about a 17% increase? I'll give you guys a couple seconds to answer that one. Okay, are you ready for question 2? This one is a little bit harder. By what percent did the number of merger investigations with second requests issued decrease from 1998 to 2018? Meaning that the FTC and Department of Justice requested more information about the effect of a merger on business competition before approving it. A, about a 10% decrease, B, about a 20% decrease, C, by about 40% decrease, and D, about a 60% decrease. All right, we're going to move on to question 3. And remember, when you have your answer, send all 3 of your answers into the chat separated by a comma, and you only get 1 submission. Okay, so let's get on with the question. Using the national volunteer rate in 2014 as a baseline, what percent did the national volunteer rate relatively increase or decrease by 2018? A, it was about the same, B, it was about a 10% decrease. C, it was about a 5% increase. Or D, it was about a 20% increase. Wow, I'm seeing all of the answers flooding in, and I'm going to be fed the winners shortly. But in the meantime, let's look at the correct answers. So first, our presidential voting rate saw a relative A, decrease by 17% since 1968. That's a pretty dramatic decrease in voting, and that inherently makes our government less representative and effective in serving its constituents. It's going to be up to this next generation to make our government one that we can trust in and one that we want to engage in. Second, the percent of merger investigations saw a relative D, 60% decrease. This means that we are not utilizing our antitrust laws with the same vigilance as 2 decades ago, allowing corporations to merge with fewer barriers, often at the harm of consumers. We are seeing a similar concentration of power amongst the 2 major political parties, which also harms competition and is at the harm of our citizens. Maybe we need some antitrust laws for our politics. And finally, our national volunteer rate has seen a D, 20% increase. This is really quite encouraging and likely a result of this generation being more engaged with their communities. So be sure to look into the chat and share what surprised you the most about these USAFacts. And I am getting fed the winners right now. So congratulations, Chabu. And is that our only winner, Gary? But congratulations. You'll be notified if you win. And if you're a winner, please email info@civicsunplugged.org to claim that awesome CU swag bag. Again, congratulations, Chabu, on both platforms. And next up, we're going to hear from Maria with more of our fantastic honorees.
Thanks, Zoe. We're back with our final round of honorees of the night. I can't wait for you all to meet these incredible civic superheroes and leave tonight with a renewed sense of hope and excitement for what's to come. Thank you all for being here with me tonight to honor and support these amazing civic superheroes. Again, this is all possible because of your donations, so if you were inspired by the civic superheroes tonight, show your support by donating. For one last time, please join me in shining the spotlight on Victor S. Yee. Victor is the founder and CEO of Innova Youth, a global education nonprofit that teaches young people research, collaboration, and communication skills with the goal of promoting societal change. Innova Youth has directly impacted over 10,600 students in over 15 states and has hosted workshops on civic engagement, social responsibility, Gen Z culture, and global leadership. Up next, we're celebrating Jasmine M. Leonzo. Jasmine's project is all about empowering minority and immigrant youth to uplift at-risk communities. She aims to make sure they are properly informed and supported while attacking systemic oppression and creating a community to spread love, education, and awareness. Our next civic superhero that we're highlighting is Leora H. Sobelman. Leora founded State of the Students, a nonpartisan student-led organization about connecting students with their government and empowering them to engage in the civic process. State of the Students run Get to Know Your Government town halls in a video series called Pizza and Politics, where they interview elected officials about the role of government in students' lives. Up next is Will Fredericks. William has been the go-to guy for CU. He's researched grants, had the idea to connect fellows with organizations for internships, and helped organize CU's Juneteenth event. The next civic superhero that we're honoring is Ananya Singh. Ananya is part of the New Jersey Student Sustainability Coalition, a collaborative youth-run network of college and high school students across New Jersey that shares experiences, resources, and expertise to build student power across the state. They put on collaborative programming, share opportunities, and help passionate young people become skilled leaders. Up next is Chabu Kapumba. Chabu ran the Outreach Subcommittee for the Launch Committee, which involved mobilizing all of the CU Fellows to get nominations and RSVPs for Commence 2030. Let's meet Aya Hamza, our next civic superhero. Aya founded PolitiVision, a nonprofit that aims to close the socioeconomic opportunity gap in civic literacy by providing marginalized students with opportunities in politics and by making educational resources accessible. Up next, don't think we forgot our very own Zoë Jenkins. Zoe developed Diversity, Inclusion, Cultural Competency, and Equity, or DICE, to teach Gen Z leaders how to create equitable and inclusive spaces, which will be done through a 10-week virtual training. And for our final 2 civic superheroes of the night, we're celebrating our final 2 Fellows' Choice honorees, Aarushi Pant and Emily Willrich. You'll hear more about them in an exclusive interview in a bit. The civic superheroes that we've celebrated tonight are incredible. I am amazed by their projects and dedication. It is with your support that they are able to continue the vital work that they are doing to improve our world. So I highly encourage you to donate at commence.us/donate if you are able to, and support their incredible efforts. You'll get swag if you do. You'll hear from Aarushi and Emily shortly, but for now, back to you, Zoe.
Thank you so much, Miriam, and a huge congratulations to all of our honorees. I know I can't wait for those interviews. I also just got word that we have so many amazing people donating that it's actually kind of jamming up commence.us/donate. So if you're interested in donating and you're having a hard time accessing that link, you can also go to civicsunplugged.org/donate, and your money will all go to the same place. I am now going to pass the floor to fellows Madison, Daryl, Lillian, and Jonah to introduce our next amazing, multi-talented speaker who I've heard quite a lot about in the chat today.
You probably know him as the guy who wants to give everybody free money. Beyond his recent bid for the presidency, Andrew Yang has devoted his life to entrepreneurship, leadership, and service.
In 2011, he founded the nonprofit Venture for America. The organization equipped the next generation of entrepreneurs with the skills and resources necessary to skyrocket them into success.
After the presidential race, Andrew Yang continued his movements by creating the organization Humanity Forward.
Humanity Forward has been able to offer financial relief to many Americans from across the nation during this time of crisis. Please help me in welcoming the bold leader and head of the Yang Gang, Andrew Yang.
Hello, thank you for that awesome introduction, Madison, Daryl, Jonah, and Lillian. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. The Civics Unplugged Fellows are tremendous. You're exactly what we need for the next generation. And congratulations to the honorees who really earned it. Now, right now, we're at a very, very difficult time in American history. And if you're young, coming of age right now, you might think to yourself, has it always been like this? And it has not been. This is a disastrous and challenging time. But that's why what you all are doing today and gathering today to represent, it's so important. Because it's your generation that is going to lead us out of this mess. You all have the moral authority of the future in your hands. And as someone who was once young and is now a little bit less young, when a young person picks up the torch and carries it forward, you have a responsibility to help. That's the power you all have. We all know that you're going to inherit this country and this planet, and we need to do right by you. So when you talk, we all have to follow your lead. And without your lead, we will be lost. It's one reason why I'm so happy to address you today and to help honor the spirit of service and civic engagement that you all are activating in a whole new generation. I wish that this sort of program existed when I was young. When I was your age, I was not as politically engaged for sure. And the way I became activated over time is by seeing just how unjust our economy is and our society is. And when I thought I had the opportunity to do something about it, I evolved into someone who believes that public service is where we need to be committing more and more of our energies and talent and ambition. But you all caught on before I did. You all are catching on while you're young and fired up, and you have the future ahead of us. You're the future ahead of you, but your future will be our future, and you are making our future brighter for the fact that you care enough to dedicate your time and energy. So it's great to be here with you all. Congratulations to the honorees. Congratulations again to Civics Unplugged, because we need you more than ever.
Incredible speech, Andrew Yang, and it's such an honor to have you with us. I can assure you that if CU had existed when you were a kid, you'd be the perfect fellow. Next up, we have another Fellows' Choice Spotlight interview. Take it away, Dario.
Thanks, Zoe. All right, so I am so excited to introduce our next Fellow Choice honoree, Zachary Patterson. Zachary Patterson is 17 years old, hails from San Diego, California, and is a rising junior at University City High School, and is working on an amazing initiative called the California Student Board Member Association, which works to unite the disconnect between students and decision makers by providing resources to students that are serving on boards of education, expanding the existence of student board members, and advocating as a group of student leaders fighting for educational change. The reason I'm personally excited about this project is because of its focus on education as a means of creating change. With millions of students in public school every day, we know how we educate students is critical to how individuals become civically engaged. The California Student Board Member Association works to create change by re-envisioning the education system to one that is for the students and by the students. With that introduction out of the way, I'm so excited to ask Zachary a few questions. First, why did you decide to start working on this project?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to have received this grant and be an honoree this evening. I think I started to work on this project because I recognized a disconnect in my community between students and those making decisions for students. The idea of it really dawned on me after I had an experience with a counselor where I really felt that I had no resources, that I had nowhere to go. And I put my foot down and I said, we need to make a change. And what I came up with was the idea that we would create a student advisory board to advise San Diego Unified School District on how best to listen to the voices of students. And we would put a student on the San Diego Board of Education. So I started working with other student board members to create an association of student board members that would work to disseminate information and work with local boards of education to install students on to solve this problem across the state of California. And that hence was how the California Student Board Member Association was formed.
All right, as part of being honored tonight, you've been awarded a $1,000 project acceleration stipend. What will you be doing with that money?
So a few different things we're doing. The first of all is we want to create a high quality curriculum that all students can use to put students on their Board of Education, to be effective on their Board of Education, and for students serving on advisory committees that have some relation to education. The second thing we're looking to use is to create a website that's going to store all of this curriculum and that's going to be able to be used for students to create updates and to put in new information about their school district so we can have a good database across the state of California for how successful we're being in how students are being effective. And another aspect is our movement to put students on local boards of education. We're going to be needing funds to create guides on how to do that and to do an extensive outreach process, and that also requires funds.
Why are you excited to join the Civics Unplugged community?
I'm excited to join the Civics Unplugged community because I really think I can scale my work when working with students from all across the nation. And I know that the California Student Board Member Association can begin to work with students all across the nation as we push to create a national student board member association and as we push to install students on every single local board of education, with the ultimate goal of creating a situation where every single student of all socioeconomic statuses, races, and religions is represented through their education system. A place that's for the students and by the students. And Civics Unplugged and Commence 2030, that's exactly what it's about.
Amazing. Okay, it's time for a lightning round of questions. What are 3 words you would use to describe yourself?
Unique, and unique because I have a lot of different interests than my friends. I like politics, I like doing this kind of stuff, and this is my passion, so unique. Motivated, I'm pretty motivated to keep working. I think that my motivation is what makes me different from a lot of people. I'm willing to keep putting in effort until I achieve what I want to. And disorganized, because as much as I like to think of myself as the perfect human being, I'm definitely not at all. And I'm good at big picture ideas, but I really need help when it comes to organization.
What's your favorite Netflix show?
Stranger Things. I like it. It's kind of scary, but not really. It's just a fun plot.
Who is one civic superhero you look up to?
Let's see. Yeah, Dr. Martin Luther King. Definitely.
All right. What's your hope for American democracy?
Definitely. It's my hope that in the future, every single citizen wants to be engaged and feels the need to vote and be an active participant in the system. I believe that when an American citizen doesn't vote, it's not a failure on that citizen specifically. It's a failure on the American democracy and the country as a whole in order to bring that person in and show them the value of participating in their own society. We can create accurate representation. We can elect leaders that actually care about our own priorities, and we can come to consensus if we're willing to work together to engage every single person.
All right, those are all the questions we have right now. Thank you for taking time out of your day for us.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a pleasure, and I'm very excited to get working. My last message to everyone is anybody can serve as a student on the Board of Education, and anybody can really create educational change. You just have to be willing to put in the time and the effort. And I'm excited to work with the Civics Unplugged community and move forward as we work to create educational change in favor of civic engagement. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheriel, and congratulations, Zachary. As a big proponent of student voice in education myself, I love what you're doing. Education is for students, and so those decisions need to be made with students. Congratulations again, and I can't wait to see how your project is scaled. Next up, we have Kelsey, who is introducing our next speaker, a particularly noteworthy public servant. Take it away.
Thanks, Zoe. Our next speaker served as a presidential appointee in both the first Bush and Clinton campaigns. She was the CEO and president of Service Year Alliance and the first managing director of the Corporation for National and Community Service. She's a true civic superhero who brought a new era of public service to the country through her career. So it is my pleasure to introduce the founding mother of the modern servant movement herself, Shirley Sagawa.
I am so honored to be invited to speak to civic superheroes. Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Shirley Sagawa, and I hope that what I have to say will be of use because we really need you now. Like you, I grew up during tumultuous times. I started life in Rochester, New York in the 1960s, a mixed-race child living in poverty amidst violent riots calling for racial justice. After my father was deported, despite his American wife and child, we lived apart until he was able to return illegally to work in a hospital that agreed to withhold his salary until he could find a path to citizenship. Since that time, I have had many opportunities, but I have always viewed fighting injustice as a personal mission. When I had a chance to come to Washington, D.C. after law school, I knew I wanted to pursue a career in federal policy to do something about racial and economic justice. In my first job, I worked for Senator Ted Kennedy. He asked me to draft national service legislation. I will tell you that I knew absolutely nothing about that topic and was even somewhat skeptical. So I met with a lot of people, not just experts and people who ran the new programs that had started, but also the young people who had served in them. They taught me a powerful lesson that helping others can change your own life. Looking through the lens of social justice, I saw national service not just as a way to get things done in communities, but to provide people of all backgrounds the chance to learn new skills and make a difference, and even more important, a way to revitalize our democracy by developing the young leaders our nation needs. The legislation we wrote became the foundation for AmeriCorps, which has given over 1 million people the chance to serve and earn money for college and propelled hundreds of thousands of alums into public service careers. As you make choices about your future, I challenge each of you to think hard about your own purpose in life. It may come to you with an assignment or a job or emerge with life experience. It may change throughout the years with the birth of a child, a family crisis, or a global pandemic, or an act of injustice that can't be ignored. The skills you learn from programs like Civics Unplugged will help you pursue your purpose. Purpose will give meaning to the most mundane of tasks and help you make good choices, empower you through tough times. And here's the even better news. According to researchers, having a strong sense of purpose will keep you mentally and physically healthy and help you live longer. Purpose may be our true magic pill. So let me say congratulations to you all. I can't wait to find out what the future will hold for you. Thanks for inviting me to be a part of your journey.
Thank you so much, Shirley Sagawa. Finding your civic purpose is so important, and it's programs like the Civics Unplugged Fellowship that can help young people find their piece in that puzzle. Speaking of which, the CU Fellowship has been a transformative experience and has fostered an incredible community of capable and impactful young people, as you've all seen tonight. To talk a little bit more about the fellowship that was and the one that's coming soon, here's Elena.
Hi, I'm Elena, and I was a fellow in the class of 2020 for the CU Fellowship program. The founding fellowship was a 6-month digital-first civic leadership program for civically minded American high schoolers who are looking to become effective change agents for their communities and our democracy. During the fellowship, myself and my 180 other fellow peers developed essential skills and knowledge for leading change, built long-lasting connections and relationships with each other, drafted a declaration laying out a vision for American democracy that we are ratifying in a few days, drafted 10-year pledges that make that vision a reality, and are proud to call ourselves civic superheroes.
The fellowship contains 3 essential units centered on personal growth and leadership development. These units are taught via an entirely virtual platform with your circle and assigned fellow partner. During these units, fellows participate in modules that will help them grow personally and know more about themselves, identify systemic problems in American democracy, and learning how to build and draft a plan towards a brighter 2030. Allow me to pass it off to my good friend Dario, who will tell you some examples of how the fellowship has helped some of our own fellows.
The CU Fellowship empowers its fellows to develop projects that empower other Gen Zers. One such project is the CU Summer Camp, which is a spin-off of the CU Fellowship being led by 3 of my friends and fellows, Madison, Noor, and Miriam. The 3 of them mobilized and established the CU Summer Camp, which is a completely virtual summer camp training kids on building a better democracy in 2030. Let's hear from them.
Thanks, Dario. Like many other high schoolers, COVID-19 has wreaked havoc on my summer plans. I share my concern about the mass cancellation of summer plans in the fellowship Slack workspace. Immediately, 2 of the other fellows, Miriam and Noor, volunteered to brainstorm how to address this issue along with me. With the support of the Civics Unplugged team, all of us set out to solve this problem.
What had transpired from these conversations was CU Summer Camp. We integrated into what would become CU Summer Camp what we thought worked best from the fellowship, which included small group discussions, weekly cohort lessons, leadership blueprint exercises, and unplugged conversations, or fireside chats with real-life civic superheroes.
Today, we have over 100 bright and excited young Americans who are ready to share their summer with us and the rest of the Civics Unplugged community. Without the support of the Civics Unplugged Fellowship, lessons, and the mentoring of the staff, we would have never been able to start up our own organization like this with the strength and support systems we have in place. So thank you, CU.
Civics Unplugged connects fellows with partner organizations for them to gain valuable experience and connections. An example of this could be the partnership with Open Primaries. CU connected my good friends Elena and Dario with a paid internship at their organization. I'll pass it off to them to explain a little more about it.
Thanks, Tati. In April, we were approached by the CU team with the opportunity to develop an internship for their partner organization, Open Primaries, in our home state of Florida. This was a unique opportunity for myself and my partner, Dario, for this was our first internship ever.
Civics Unplugged helped us along the way, and we are currently in the middle of this life-changing internship this summer. We are working on a youth campaign to bring about change in our state's primary election system, the idea of open primaries.
What you saw in the Class of 2020 Fellowship won't be the same when you walk into the doors of the 2021 Fellowship. We've worked overtime to make some key changes and adjustments in order to make sure and ensure success for the Class of 2021. Here are some of the adjustments we plan on making.
Expect to see a much bigger class. We have over 400 fellows in the 2021 Fellowship. Given the success of our 200 fellow inaugural fellowship, we are eager to take on the challenge of scaling the program size by at least 2 times to double our yearly contribution to the democracy strengthening movement.
Civics Unplugged will also be introducing a new internship matching program. Starting with the class of 2021 and also with our founding alumni, we will match fellows to organizations that align with their emerging civic purpose. And as of June 2020, we have already begun matching some of our founding fellows to internships, as you saw with our open primary story. By April of 2021, we will have established a large network of host organizations willing and able to accept our 2021 fellows.
A new lesson will be added to the fellowship curriculum called How to Get Things Done. It's absolutely essential in the 2020s for change makers to learn about the different tools, practices, and systems they can adopt to be more organized and productive. Without digital organization and productivity, it's near impossible to build communities of purpose capable of making lasting systemic change.
Finally, a new method of measuring personal growth will be implemented. We will introduce the concept of the Fellowship Capstone Project. By the end of the fellowship, each fellow will be required to distill the key lessons that they learned over the course of the building phase into some kind of educational content, like a video or a lecture that the rest of the fellows can benefit from. That way, the learnings and experiences of each fellow can benefit the entire community.
And that's about it for the CU Fellowship. Are you interested? If you are, visit civicsunplugged.org/apply to be among the first to find out when our 2021 fellowship applications open up this fall.
Thank you so much, fellows Elena, Ethan, Dariel, Tati, Addison, Ashley, and Aaron, and a special shout out to Madison, Noah, and Miriam for starting the CU Summer Camp. If you're interested in being a part of this incredible community and defining your civic purpose, as Aaron said, please go to civicsunplugged.org/apply. The fellowship has been an incredibly transformative experience, and I hope you all apply. We are now going to hear from Anthea Hartig, the director of the Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of American History. The Smithsonian recently launched their own initiative, Made by Us, which is perfectly in line with our goals for Civics 2030, making them one of our closest and most cherished partners. Take it away, Anthea.
Hi, thanks for having me here. Throughout time, young people have played a major role in advocating for change and working to build the kind of world they wanted to live in. As the next generation in civic life, you will inherit a country with complicated and rich history that continues to shape who we are, the challenges we face, and how we face them. As institutions that preserve and showcase history, it's our job to equip you with the knowledge you need to share from the stories of the past, so that you can then create the kind of change that you believe in. The reason we created History Made by Us, which is a coalition of history and civic engagement institutions, now almost 70 strong, was to create a meaningful and powerful way for you to tell your stories. At Made by Us, we have our eyes on the nation's 250th anniversary. By 2026, we want to have a dynamic two-way relationships with America's youth. Welcome you to the houses of history, to the grand experiment that is the United States, because it's not something that happened in the past, but it's something that's being made now. One of the first ways we're hoping to connect with you is by inviting you to share your vision for the future of the nation. We're doing this through an online platform called My Wish for Us. Not only do we want to provide a forum for your voices to be heard, but by sharing your vision, you can help us and other institutions shape our future work and our programs. A pivotal moment is upon us for change in America, and My Wish for Us offers you a place for taking that first step, contributing to our vision for the future. After you've shared your wish, you can explore wishes from across the nation, and you can search from the demographies and location and topics, and learn more about historic wishes. As we approach the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, our nation continues to grapple with deep-seated issues of racism and inequality that are rooted in our shared past. As we collectively work toward a better future, it's critical to understand what we carry forward from history. My Wish for Us lets us explore people's wishes, both now and from the past, like these two men, both from Illinois, both at age 52, but 143 years apart, Abe Lincoln's wish from 1861 was this: though passion may have strained, it must not break our bonds of affection. Barack Obama's wish from 2004 was to provide jobs to the jobless, homes to the homeless, and reclaim young people in cities across America from violence. So, help us understand, where are we now? How did we get here? Whose voices have counted the most? And how can we make the tent bigger to invite more voices in? My wish for us is just the first step. We're taking with you to listen and to learn more about you. By articulating the change that we want to see in the world, we can start to make a plan for enacting that change through the Civics 2030 Challenge. It's not enough to just make our wish. Action must accompany our words. The Civics 2030 Challenge is the ideal next step so that you can pledge to learn, develop skills, and take action by 2030 towards our goals. I'll hand it off now to the Civics Unplugged Fellows to explain how the challenge works and how you can participate. Thank you so much for having me tonight. Take the best of care.
Thank you so much, Anthea, and to Made by Us. So inspirational to be able to see the wishes of civic superheroes past and present, and hopefully many of these wishes will come true by 2030. Our work to make a brighter 2030, whether that be through funding Gen Zer projects, the Civics 2030 Challenge, or the Fellowship, would not be possible without our donors. We are thrilled to announce that 2 individuals have committed $500,000 each from now until 2030, totaling $1 million in support. We cannot thank them enough for recognizing that the long-term commitment ensures that this movement not only is not going anywhere, but is only going to keep growing. Thank you so much, and we encourage others to join in, like Yinka Onami, Shannon Snow, Pennington, the Delos family, Kay Ross and Partners, Peggy Shaner, David Cooperstein, Michael Ghazala, Ashley Rosser, Richard Davies, and Angela Bauer, in showing this generation that we have their back. To donate, you can go to commence.us/donate or civicsunplugged.org/donate, or you can scan the flow code. Before we hear some more about what the Civics 2030 Challenge is and how exactly you can get involved, I'm first going to pass it to fellow Faith to introduce our next incredible speaker.
Hi, my name is Faith Ramos, and I'm a member of the founding Civics Unplugged Fellowship class. I'm here today to introduce our special guest, the Lieutenant Governor of Michigan, Mr. Garlin Gilchrist. At Civics Unplugged, we honor and commemorate Mr. Gilchrist as a civic superhero for his work that he does investing in educational resources for teens and adults in Michigan, and all the work that he does as Michigan's Lieutenant Governor. Here's Mr. Gilchrist.
Hello, Civics Unplugged Fellows. This is Michigan Lieutenant Governor Garlin Gilchrist, and I'm proud to participate in this civic superhero event with all of you today. I am so excited about the leadership that you are bringing to the communities that you represent across our nation. What civics really is participation, finding the best way to plug in to the processes of decision-making and power building wherever you are. Those processes will not be the same if you take part, because the impact that you have on them will leave them the way that nobody else can. I'm excited to see what you do. I'm excited to see how you innovate in those processes. Let's talk about what innovation really is. Innovation is not about technology. It's about creating something that is new, different, better, and more valuable to more people. That is the opportunity before all of us. And for this next decade, as we are working together to build a future that works for everyone, your challenge is to innovate. This moment, perhaps unlike any moment in our lifetimes, is a moment that calls for us to step up, to demand justice, to seek equity, to honor inclusion, and make sure that every voice not only has a seat at the table, but that we will make new tables and move the tables where they need to be. That is your calling. That is your responsibility. And I believe that you will be able to make the future so much better because of it. The systems that we work under right now were not ordained by God. They were created by a set of people who made a set of choices to make the systems work the way they do. But I know, because of my experience as a community organizer and a power builder, that a different set of people can make a different set of choices and build a different set of systems. That is the innovation that we need from you and from your peers to build a future that works for all of us. Thank you for everything that you have done, are doing, and are going to do for our communities across our country. God bless y'all.
Thank you so much, Michigan Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist. The one thing that will really stick with me from your speech is that it's not enough to just make a seat at the table for young people, but rather we have to move and make new tables to make those seats accessible, especially for the young people whose voices are least heard. Moving tables to invigorate and embolden youth is exactly what we're trying to do with the Civics 2030 Challenge, where you envision what you want America to look like in 2030 and lay out action steps for how you're going to achieve it. An exemplary submission to the Civics 2030 Challenge could even help you secure your spot as a 2021 fellow. More details are to come. Next up, we are going to continue recognizing amazing superheroes who have already stepped up to that challenge. Take it away, Katie.
Thanks, Zoe. All right, so I'm so excited to introduce another Fellow's Choice honoree, Aarushi Pant. Aarushi is 16 years old, hails from Houston, Texas, and is a rising senior at Carnegie Vanguard High School, and is working on an awesome project called WISH, which empowers and uplifts women by hosting free annual summer career immersion programs and year-long mentorships for underprivileged middle school girls. The reason I'm personally excited about this project is because of its desire to invest in our next generation of leaders, particularly our next generation of female leaders. WISH aims at providing equal opportunities for all young women, regardless of socioeconomic class or creed, and I find that so inspiring. With that introduction out of the way, I am so excited to ask Aarushi a few questions. First, why did you decide to start working on this project?
Well, I've always been really passionate about various social justice issues, and seeing that a lot of women around me weren't given the same access to opportunities as other women were kind of made me realize that a lot of work needs to be done in ensuring that all women, regardless of the background that they come from or their identity, should have equal access to the resources and opportunities that they need to be successful.
Perfect. As part of being honored tonight, you've been awarded a $1,000 project acceleration stipend. What will you be doing with that money?
Well, I'm actually hoping to use that to expand WISH to be more international. I did visit India last year, and I'm hoping to kind of use that money to fund girls' education in that country as well and tie that into our work here.
Awesome. Why are you so excited to join the Civics Unplugged community?
I'm really excited to get to meet people that have the same opinions and ideas as me and kind of realize what I can learn from them and their own ideas and experiences and maybe grow as a person because of that.
Thanks, Aarushi. Amazing. Okay, so it is time for a lightning round of questions. So I'm just going to fire them at you. So first, what are 3 words that you would use to describe yourself?
Passionate, creative, dedicated.
What is your favorite Netflix show?
Jane the Virgin.
Who is one civic superhero you look up to?
Honestly, I can't name one. There are so many incredible people in government and office that I look up to.
And lastly, what is your hope for American democracy?
That everyone feels represented and like their voice is being heard in their government.
Thank you so much, Aarushi. It's been great having you.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Katie, and wow, Aarushi. Seeing my own CU summer camper empowering the next generation of female leaders makes me such a proud camp counselor. Next up, we have Jonah, Chabu, and Kelsey introducing our next speaker, who is truly a civil servant. Take it away, y'all.
There are countless people to thank in making this week a success.
You've already heard from many of them, and today you'll hear from another.
Thanks to his support of our 3 C's, they are that much more fulfilled.
His courage has been seen time and time again, especially in his defense of our census data and making sure that all communities feel safe filling them out.
his devotion to community, and his uncompromised dedication to uniting our nation behind a common cause.
And his commitment and his inspiring fandom of Star Trek.
It is our pleasure to introduce Senator Cory Booker.
Hello, everybody gathered there for Commence 2030. I'm so excited. And by the way, I want to say thank you to Jonah, Shabu, and Kelsey. Thank you for inviting me, for your leadership, for your light. I believe strongly that every great social movement that I love from history has young people at the center of it, from uprisings in Soweto, from powerful pro-democracy protests in Tiananmen Square to the civil rights movement here in the United States of America. Young people have always been leading and igniting the moral imagination of who we can be in humanity. This has to continue. There are so many challenges right now that young folks have to take the mantle of leadership and show us through their service and their sacrifice and their struggle that we can be a more perfect union in this nation, and even beyond, that we as the human race can continue to achieve a deeper and richer justice for all. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your conviction. Thank you for being light workers, especially in these challenging and dark times. All the best.
Wow, absolutely incredible, Senator Cory Booker. Youth are pushing our moral imaginations. I love that phrase. Whether that be pro-democracy, civil rights, equality, police reform, or so many other movements, the youth are pushing the envelope on just how good our society can and should be. Thank you so much again, Senator. Next up, we have a special message from EarthX, the world's largest environmental experience, which will be presenting a special environmentally focused honoree award. Melanie Yogs is the Director of Education and Community Outreach at EarthX Film. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Take it away.
Hi, I'm Melanie Yogs, Director of Education and Community Outreach for EarthX Film. I'm really proud today to represent EarthX Film, which is a part of EarthX, the world's largest environmental experience, in our support of Civics Unplugged, and to honor a civic superhero with an environmental focus. We are so excited to present Ananya Singh this award today. Ananya, you will receive a $1,000 project acceleration stipend to further your work in building up the New Jersey Student Sustainability Coalition. It's really especially exciting to me to hear that you're not only sharing your passion for our planet with your local group, but also that you're connecting youth from middle schools, high schools, colleges, and across your state to create an entire network of future planet heroes. We are so looking forward to seeing more about your work, your projects, and the future impact of your work. Congratulations, Ananya.
Thank you so much, Melanie, and to EarthX, and another congratulations to Ananya. When creating Commence, we had to invite a lot of people to be a part of tonight, and our fellows got awfully creative. We wrote letters, crafted poems like what we heard from Jasmine earlier on, and even created musical masterpieces, the latter of which we will be sharing throughout the night. So speaking of which, let's get into our first musical performance, which might be my favorite of the night, but I might just be biased as I co-performed it with fellows Ella, Ethan, Lillian, Leora, and Karina. Enjoy.
We're Gen Z, yeah, we're zooming all day. Real proposals, yeah, you better make way.
Advocate, push democracy, legislators. Now we got a few ideas and we ready to declare. Yeah, the youth got the power, this is their hour. Equity promoting, yeah, it's something worth noting. Out here rolling, we want more youth voting. Gen Z has spoken, oops, we ain't joking. Hot, youth wanting a piece.
We drafted a masterpiece, democracy's gonna be sweet, sweet, sweet.
Yeah, our systems are antique, new age so to speak. Join us for lunch week.
Hey y'all, it's Civic 2030. Gen Z is proclaiming our decree. Democracy, yeah, we need equality. Be there June 27th and support the draftees.
Wow, wow, wow. Just so amazing. Sometimes I wonder if we should be strengthening American communities through service or through rap. Though I guess you could say those are one and the same as we've seen tonight. Just incredible. I am now going to hand it over to Fella Isra for our final honoree interview of the night. Take it away.
Thanks, Zoe. All right, so I'm so excited to introduce our next Fellows Choice honoree, Emily Willrich. Emily is 17 years old, hails from Wellesley, Massachusetts, and is taking a gap year next year. And she is working on an amazing project called State of the Students, which helps high schoolers connect with their elected officials in order to help better their communities for both parties. The reason I'm personally excited about it is because there's a lot of lack of knowledge in Gen Zers, and it is preventing them from making good decisions or being informed about who their politicians are and what change is being made in their communities. And I feel that it's so important that people need to know that. So with that introduction out of the way, I'm so excited to ask her a few questions. First, why did you decide to start working on this project?
So when I was in the summer going into my junior year, I was an intern at Senator Warren's office in Boston, and I was super excited about this job because I always idolized Senator Warren as a woman in politics and just for her really thought out ideas and everything that she does. But so when I came into the job, I was really very interested in like the policy issues because that's sort of what I knew more about and sort of what I thought government was about. So like sort of like making big changes in like areas like gun violence, like gun violence prevention, like helping the environment, things like that. But what I found a lot of my job actually was about was like callers were calling about constituent services, so things they needed help with from government. So whether they needed help like getting their relative a visa or like dealing with issues like with Medicare or things like that. And I discovered that this was a really rewarding part of government that I hadn't known that much about before, that government like really tries to help people like provide these services for them. And I found, unfortunately, that a lot of people calling us, like they would ask for services that our office couldn't really provide. So they would ask like for legal advice or like just various like things that should have been dealt with on the local level or things like that. So we would just direct them to the resources that they could use, and usually like sometimes they would call back saying that they those were successful. So that was always good to hear when there were these success stories. But what kind of disheartened me is I figured that if people were calling for the wrong things, there were likely people who didn't know like who to call at all and like weren't calling government offices when they could get help. And I thought that was just kind of a bummer, and like I really thought it was important that people know how the government can help them in times of crisis. So my friend who I made at the internship, Leora, who's like co-founded founded this organization with me, she realized the same problem, and we wanted to do something to help other young people like be aware of how they can contact government and like what they can reach out to certain government offices for, so that if they ever need to make those calls, like if they're ever in a tricky spot, they'll know who to call and like what to do. So we founded State of the Students, and our goal was to like host events with elected officials at schools and things like that, so that students could ask questions about what the government is doing, about how they can get help for certain things, also about policy issues that they're really passionate about and what the government is doing on those, because I still think those are very important. So we hosted our first event at Wellesley High School that year, and we had local representatives from Massachusetts, where I'm from. So we had Representative Kennedy, and then we had the assistant at Attorney General Maurice Healy's office, and other like representatives and state senators. And I thought the event was really powerful because like students like asked about the various issues that were important to them, like education, equality, things like that. And they also learned how government could help them. So that was a long-winded answer, but that's kind of how we started out.
Okay, so next, as part of being honored tonight, you've been awarded a $1,000 project acceleration stipend. What are you going to be doing with that money?
Mm-hmm. So since our first, we started with the Get to Know Your Government events, which I was talking a little bit about before, we've also expanded to a video series that we're doing called Pizza and Politics, where we interview politicians or local elected officials, things like that. And we have them over local box of pizza, and we ask them the controversial questions, like their opinions on various policy issues, and then also like whether they like pineapple on pizza or not. And then of course we also ask, true to our goals, we like ask about if they can explain their role and like what services they provide, like a rewarding experience they've had with constituent services. And so we are using the stipend to help us in like production costs for those videos, like with like maybe purchasing some equipment that we're excited for. And then also to run our website at savethestudents.com. Shameless plug there if people want to check it out, because currently like our Leora, the co-executive director, is paying for that out of pocket. So it'd be really nice for us to be able to get that, because that's where people can tune in and see our Pizza and Politics videos. And we also post when we're doing Get to Know Your Government events as well, which we've moved to virtual. We've moved both the Get to Know Your Government events and our Pizza and Politics interviews to Zoom.
Okay. And next, why are you excited to join the Civics Unplugged community?
I'm really excited to work with other Gen Zers who share this common goal that we all have of engaging youth with democracy and like getting us more knowledgeable about how we can make a difference in our communities. Because I think it's very, it seems it's very easy to be pessimistic now, like with government, but I think there's still a lot that we can do. And I also love your idea of like the commencement 2020 and this, or 2030, excuse me, and this idea of like this 10 years like civics moonshot, because I'm such a history nerd. So I loved hearing about the original like Kennedy moonshot, like back when, the most advanced like computers they had were like the capacity of like calculators that we have today. And Kennedy said in 10 years, we're getting a man to the moon, and they did it. So I think it's really good that we have this ambitious goal, like at Civics Unplugged, you all have this ambitious goal that in 10 years, like we're gonna get the youth so much more involved in government and know so much more about what we can do to help it. And I think that's really an inspiring goal. I love that. And I'm so excited to work with all the other organizations and all the other young people that are a part of the Civics Unplugged family, so we can make that moonshot happen.
Okay, and then we're gonna do a speed round. So they're gonna be, you have to answer really quickly. So our first one is, what are 3 words you use to describe yourself?
Okay, inscrutable, persistent, ambitious.
What's your favorite Netflix show?
Outer Banks.
Who is one civic superhero that you look up to?
Eleanor Roosevelt.
And what's your hope for American democracy?
I hope truly that young people continue to get more involved, because the issues that we're seeing now, they're like going to face us more in the future. And I think that our voices and fresh new perspectives are really needed.
Okay, thank you so much.
Congratulations, Emily, and another huge round of applause to all of our honorees tonight. Again, congratulations to all of you. Please shout out your favorite honoree and project of the night in the chat down below or to my right. Let's now give it up for fellows Dariel, Sam, Jasmine, and Madison to introduce our final, oh so amazing, and much anticipated final speaker.
Thanks, Zoe. Dwayne Johnson, also commonly referred to as The Rock and the son of the late great Rocky Johnson, is an actor, producer, businessman, and wrestling Hall of Famer. More notably, he is an avid activist of a better American democracy.
He started from humble beginnings, but always knew he was destined to do great things.
We at Civics Unplugged are in the early stages of building our movement to save American democracy.
And we are super inspired by Mr. Johnson's limitless drive to better his communities, his philanthropic spirit, and sense of civic responsibility.
We are proud to introduce Dwayne Johnson as our next featured speaker.
Hello, all of my civic superheroes. Let me start out by saying thank you guys so much for the incredible honor. I mean, truly, I've been a lucky guy over the years to have received some pretty cool recognitions in my lifetime. But this particular recognition from you guys was truly one of the most humbling recognitions. Yes, sweetheart, I'm talking to... That is very heavy, yes. But I need, no, don't touch that. That's why you can't pick it up, yes. But I'm going to go back to Daddy's speech to the civic superheroes. That's my daughter Jasmine, by the way, who's also so excited about the Commence 2030 campaign that you guys are so brilliantly putting forth and putting forward. Let me just back up. I want to say, guys, thank you so much for that incredible video that you sent me. When I saw the video, I emailed my team right away. Hold on one second. I emailed my team right away, true story, and I said, how could I possibly say no to these kids? So I want to thank you guys. I want to get this right. I held Zoe, Daryl, Sam, Jasmine, Leora, and Madison. Jazzy, one of the girls' names is Jasmine, like you. Great. I want to thank you guys for the video. And, look, 2020 has obviously brought some unprecedented times, unprecedented challenging times. We hear that word a lot. We hear unprecedented, we hear challenging, and they have been. And while at times very scary, what the unprecedented times of 2020 also did was it created a spark, and it created a fire. And that fire, that spark, has led you guys, Generation Z, to this incredible place of being so proud and wanting to shine the spotlight on your sense of service, your sense of leadership, your sense of creativity, your sense of optimism and hope. That's right. Be safe with your life, she says. Thank you, baby, for saying that. So thoughtful. I want to say that, with the sense of service, optimism, hope, and everything that you leaders embody, I want you to know that I stand with you. I support you, because out of this 2020 pandemic and these times where we are looking to normalize equality and fighting to normalize equality, you are the leaders that are emerging. I asked a question some weeks ago. Where are you? Where is our leadership? Where is the empathetic, inspiring leaders? And they're right in front of me. They are you. I also want to send a special shout out to the Civics Unplugged Fellows for all your tremendous hard work in putting together this campaign, this 10-year campaign into 2030. And I am encouraged and I am optimistic, I am hopeful that the leaders that we are looking for are right in front of us, and they are you. So I cannot wait to see where we're at 10 years from now and who our leaders will be. I want to thank you guys so much again for asking me to be part of your leadership in this 10-year campaign as we all fight for American democracy and fight for equality and fight for justice. Jazzy, would you like to say something, honey?
I just said that.
You just said all those words. Yes, you did. Here, come here for a second. Oh, I know. Since you've been here. All right. You want to say cheers to leadership. As you put your hair in your eyes. Okay. She says it. Cheers to leadership.
A million thank yous, Dwayne, and our youngest civic superhero yet, Jasmine. Your support means the absolute world, and with Civics 2030, we're glad to be answering your question of where are you? And a huge thank you again to all of our speakers, fellows, partners, and honorees for being that and making tonight so amazing. Also, an enormous thank you to all of our donors. Regardless of the size, all of this would not be possible without all of the donations we've had tonight. To help us truly kick off the Civics 2030 initiative and help us attain our goals, please go to commence.us/donate or civicsunplugged.org/donate, or you can scan the flow code. While the total right now says $7,054, we've also raised another $7,000 on our other platform. So thank you, Amy Nederlander, Jeff and Leslie Sachs, Kieran Lenahan, Stephen Bourne, Alex Rapp, Madeline Aptman, Michael Harsimowicz, Jennifer Lawson, Ramona Gross-Phillips, Lawrence Belfer, Emily and Stephen Steinman, Drasanna Hughes, Jennifer Rose, Anisha, and a huge thank you to Tim Armstrong for donating $5,000 on our other platform. He's the former CEO of AOL, in case you didn't know. And also with that, it's been my absolute honor to be your host for Commence tonight. But our honorees, speakers, and fellows truly made tonight what it was. Before we end with a message from Lillian and a few other fellows, we are going to hear our final musical number, which was actually our invite for Andrew Yang. Thank you all so much again, and take it away, fellows.
Yeah, we wishing and wishing and wishing and wishing, we wishing to lead ya. We've been grinding for our democracy, trying to strive for good, but it's a struggle, believe. So many politicians just want to deceive. Our democracy filled with hypocrisy.
But this big change isn't make-believe. 1/3 of Americans jobless 2030, which is pretty crazy if you ask me. You have no idea what we about to achieve. Our plan. Some say we can lead, some say don't, yeah. But we feel good promoting growth, ayy. Creating change, drops and flows, ayy.
Might go down to some OGs, yeah, wait. But there is one person we need. And Drew, we want you on the team. And still, bad things, it's a lot of bad things that they doing and making and doing and making and trying to achieve. Bad things, it's a lot of bad things that they lying and trying and trying and trying to make us believe.
Yeah. Hey. They say, who are you? I tell them we the OGs. They call us Civics Unplugged and we ain't sorry. First, we want to extend a thank you from the Civics Unplugged community for joining us for Commence 2030.
While this is the end of our event, it is only the beginning of the Civics 2030 movement.
The beginning of our expedition to strengthen our communities and our democracy.
Our journey to change the world is around us.
Our path to find our civic purpose.
Tonight we have been honoring civic superheroes, and hopefully many of you are thinking about how you can be your own civic superhero.
To be a superhero, as we know from comic books, you need a villain to defeat. Maybe it's the criminal justice system, education inequity, or broken elections. It could be as macro as global climate change, as micro as trash in your own neighborhood, or anywhere in between. Regardless of what it is, if you're passionate about an issue, you are already halfway there.
Another thing superheroes need are superpowers, because if just anyone could make our systems better, we wouldn't have systems to improve.
As we have all learned, civic superheroes do not need to possess superhuman abilities, nor do they have to be particularly extraordinary. One doesn't need to go to an Ivy League school or memorize all the elements, or even get elected to office.
You can actually be quite ordinary. As we have seen tonight, what made someone into a doer, a change-making system shifter, was not originality. Nobody we have honored today was an artist like Picasso, a speaker like Churchill, or a scientist like Curie. The one thing every Gen Zer we honored today has in common is that they used what they knew and what they had to change the systems and structures they cared about.
They stepped up, they were vulnerable, and they went for it. They were heroic, and you could be too.
And in a society that patronizes our youth by instinct, it is up to our adult allies to step aside, give us a seat at the table, and let us co-create our own future.
While our generation has already done incredible things to make our world a better place, it is only the beginning. This launch is one of new potentials, new passions, and hopefully a new generation of civic superheroes.
And with that, I'd like everyone to count down with me.
3, 2, 1, blast off!
smoke effect, fireworks, yelling, cheering, background noise. Amazing. Commence 2030.
How do leaders, smart kids see you fellows and activists trapped in the middle of a forgotten spot in the United States where democracy is crumbling in squalor? Grow up to be a bunch of change starters.
The Kickstarters, founding fellows who thought broader, got a lot farther by working a lot harder, by being a lot smarter, by being some self-starters from 14 to 18, from LA to Ann Arbor.
And every day while our democracy gets stripped away, we want change, and it really needs to start up. Inside we are longing for something to be a part of. Fellows are ready to beg, plead, borrow, or barter.
A few elections came, we wanted to see change. We can't let our future drip down the drain. Put some pencils to our temples, connected them to our brains, and we wrote our first refrain, a testament to our pain.
Well, the word got around, they say these kids are insane, man. Took devoted sponsors just to send us through the train, man. Got our education, we don't forget from whence we came, and the world is gonna know the name.
What's the campaign?
Civics 2030. It is called Civics 2030. And there's a million things we haven't done. But just you wait, just you wait.
With CU we can
just you wait.
With CU we can
just you wait.
With CU we can make a new plan.
Just you wait.
Civics 2030.
Civics 2030.
We are waiting in the wings for you.
Waiting in the wings for you.
We'll never back down. We're not going to take our time.
Oh, people of America, we decided to sing for you.
Now you know we overcame. You know we are rewriting again.
Challenges are on us now. Join us if you got us. Civic superheroes coming up from the bottom. Together we have built our rep. America will see us.
Will you fight with us?
Will you enlighten us?
Will you trust in us?
Will you campaign?
Oh, us? We're the future of America.
There's a million things we're gonna do, but just you wait.
What's the campaign?
Civics 2030.